Oh man, we are live again. But are we undead? This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am joined by the amazing Britt Sellers. But first,
you write something on my face?
Britt, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show and being so flexible with your time.
No problem at all. Having fun.
Excellent. So, Britt, tell us a little bit about Scoffer Studios and who you are and where do you come from and how you got into animation.
Okay, well, Scoffer Studios is a female-run digital studio, and we're full of the best and the brightest Hollywood has to offer. And the studio is run by myself, Britt Sellers. I am 24 years old, and I am a law student when I'm not making movies.
Wow.
And my mother is Vivian Sellers, aka Diana Firefly, and she is the creative genius behind everything and the co-owner of Scoffer Studios. It's me and her. And then I have my sister, Cherish Sellers, and she is a brilliant animator. She's in fact even better than I am. And she is a screenwriter as well as a director. And she's got her own film in the works that is completely separate from me and my mother, who are mainly the ones focused on Dagon. But she still pitches in for Dagon, and it's a lot of fun being a family-run studio. And then in the background is my father, David Sellers, and he is awesome, and he plays the voice of Hungan in our film. So he is a voice actor as well as a producer.
Oh, fantastic. Man, that's awesome. That's got to be a really cool thing to be this, creative, tight-knit family, doing, these type of projects.
Yeah, my mom, she started us with drawing back when we were toddlers. She'd take our fingers and dip them in paints and let us smear everywhere on the page. And actually, we won a lot of art shows for that, and it was just started from there. And when I was about 14, I sat back and looked at everything and thought, my mom is a genius writer and she's a genius artist. And I am not half bad either. And my sister's awesome too. So where should we put all of this? Because we were kind of just scattered around with our own different things. And I started drawing one day. It was raining and I was bored. So I thought, I'm going to sketch something. I'm bored. So I took out an ink pen and I started sketching, and this character started to appear on the page. And the more I drew, the more intricate it became and the more interesting he was. And I sat back and thought, what is this character and what is his name?
Yeah.
And I thought, his name is Dagon, and he is a troll, and he is from the planet Goth. And so I showed it to my mother, and she said, this is interesting. What do you think we could do with this? And I said, I'm going to write a book about it. And so we started kicking ideas around as we usually do, and in a flurry of genius and strokes of lightning, Dagon Troll World Chronicles appeared. And about 4 years ago, we started casting because we had our screenplay roughly worked out. And we started casting the main characters, which was Dagon, Jocelyn, and Maxine, who are played by the magnificent Tony Black, who is an African-American voice actor, and he is totally awesome, and he brings a really gruff and raw level of realism to Dagon. And then we have Will Collins, who is Jocelyn, who is Dagon's bosom companion. He is his brother in all but blood. And then Maxine, who is a ballbuster she-troll, who is a total badass, and she's the only one who can rival Dagon in his badassery. And she is played by Josephine Puno, who is a Filipino actress, and she is totally amazing, and her career is taking off right now. So that was the base characters, and we got started with casting, and I was doing all of this on a little handheld cell phone.
Okay.
And it was really crummy. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just fumbling around in the dark thinking, how do we do this?
Right.
But with perseverance and dedication and more funds, we started making Dagon Troll World Chronicles into an animated film. But it was a labor of love, and it's just now that it's starting to take off, and it's doing awesome. And we have recently cast the King of Horror and the legendary sex god, Tim Curry, as our main villain, Necrofer the Deathbringer.
Yep, you really can't have sex without Tim Curry. I mean, good God.
Nope, he is awesome.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, you've let me share some of the art too that you guys sent over as well. Are these stills from the film itself?
Yes, these are stills taken from the film, and we have about 2 hours finished right now with sound, but we're still going. So we just keep on adding more stuff to it, and there's no real deadline when we have to get this done. We're aiming for 2022, but we want to make this absolutely perfect, so we're taking our time with it.
Right. Wow. Some of these characters designs are really fun. Like this guy's pretty.
That's Necrofer. That's Tim Curry's character, and he is super sexy. And originally he wasn't going to be that way, but when we heard Tim Curry's voice and the way he just heard his lines and all of the little intricate details he added to the character, Necrofer just came to life, because we didn't really have, he was just going to be your typical villain, kind of strong and silent and evil and, kick everyone's butt. Everyone's scared of it. But then Tim Curry's voice was added to the character, and he became hot.
He has so much panache to it, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you guys a little taste. He is introduced taking a bath in the nude, and over top of his, I guess you could call it a shower, are dead bodies, and he's bathing in their blood.
Oh. It's very festive. It's what it sounds like that he's doing,
Yeah, and while he's admiring himself and taking his beauty bath, his trapped fallen angel lover named Sicarius, who is a beautiful male angel who decided to fall when he was sent after Necrofer. He decided to stick around as his devoted slave.
Nice. Wow.
But anyway, Necrofer is hot, and we are having so much fun animating this.
Wow, this is starting to sound like a little bit of erotica of sorts.
Well, it has elements of basically everything, but Necrofer is definitely erotic, and he's also very sadistic. When he is fighting, you can expect a lot of fun little twists that happen during the battle and everything. But we're just having a great time with his character, exploring where he's going to go, and we're working on all his scenes now, so we're having a blast animating this.
Nice. Yeah, Laura just chimed in. Hello, hi from the UK. Yeah, she also agrees, best voice ever for I think Tim Curry.
Yeah, we have some amazing voice actors in our cast, and we're always aiming to acquire a few more. We have 3 more voice casting roles open, but so far we have Tim Curry as our ultimate awesomeness star, and then we have Bryce Papenbrook, who is from Attack on Titan. He's the voice of Eren. He's also in Demon Slayer, and he plays our character Gallows, who is a gallant and brave gangster. He's not a very large role for the film, but he is a wonderful way of adding in flavor, and he is kind of like a hero at the end of the film. But that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
We also have Brad McMurray from King Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus King Kong, whichever way that goes.
Yeah.
And we also have Emily O'Brien from The Young and the Restless, and several more. And there's just so many. If I kept on adding in what they're in and where they're from, I'd be here all night.
Let me pull up some of these headshots. I can't remember. Is this Emily?
Yes, that's Emily O'Brien, and she did an amazing job playing the character of Ruth, which is the child's mother in our film. And
Okay.
the whole film revolves around the baby, which is her daughter, because the trolls of Goth want to start a war with Earth by kidnapping the ambassador's daughter when he comes over there on an ambassadorial meeting with the leaders of Goth, and they hire Dagon to come and steal the baby, and he doesn't realize what's going on. He thinks that they just want it for like a collector item or for a pet. They don't realize, him and his friends don't realize that they mean to kill the baby. The buyer means to kill the baby and eat it on a public broadcast in order to say, hey, Earth, F you.
Oh, jeez. Yikes.
And so that's what starts this whole big mess, and we're having so much fun with it. It's going to be awesome.
It sounds like it's like, as you mentioned before, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got some level of political, intrigue, eroticism, goth horror, fantasy horror,
violence, sci-fi.
Yeah, essentially, what is it, really about? It sounds like it's a lot of different things, because it feels like a really big world building piece.
Okay, so Dagon is a troll, and he lives on the planet Goth, and he is a gangster. And when you want something done, you hire Dagon.
Okay.
And he can kill anyone that you send him after. He can find anything that you send him after. He is the Vin Diesel of our world.
Okay.
And he wants to get off of Goth, and he wants to retire somewhere where he can be at peace and not have to constantly be looking over his shoulder because someone's trying to kill him. Right. And he wants to take himself and his friend Jocelyn, who they've been pals since childhood. He's like his younger brother. He wants to take Jocelyn somewhere where they can be happy and they can live in peace, somewhere safe, because they've never had that. And he decides to take this one last big score, which is never a good idea. And he decides to accept this job given to him by his sleazy boss, Candilla, to go and kidnap a human child from the ship that's coming to land at Goth like the following night. And so Dagon says, sure, yeah, I'll do it. I can't say no to this amount of money. So he, against Jocelyn's wishes and against everyone else's better judgment, he goes and kidnaps the child, and he brings it to Jocelyn and Maxine and says, do something. I don't know how to take care of this thing. And so they are chilling out in Jocelyn's house, and then suddenly Candilla double crosses him and says, you know what? I think I'll take this kid and I'll return it to its parents, because they're broadcasting that they're going to give out such and such money for this baby, for the return of it. It's safe. And Candilla's always hated Dagon anyway, so he's just decided, you know what? I'm just going to kill Dagon, send all my guys after him. He'll never see this coming because we've been working together for all this time. And so I'm going to kick his ass, take the baby, make tons of money, and get the hell out of here. And so that's what kicks off this whole big mess. Okay. And Dagon has to try and keep this baby alive and either deliver it to the buyer or return it to its parents. And as much as Dagon is a total badass and he'll heartlessly kill like everyone, he has a soft spot for children because he was once a child growing up on the mean streets of Goth with Jocelyn trying to survive. Yeah. And he's always the good guy. He looks out for the kids, he looks out for women, but he'll kick everyone else's ass. Okay. And so when he finds out that this baby is going to be killed, he decides to return the child to its parents, and he has to fight all kinds of horrible monsters and hitmen and necrofer to try and return it. And that's the whole setting for this big epic film, and it's totally enormous and it's totally amazing, and we're enjoying the second of it.
That's so cool. The now when you dove in with the rest of your family on this project, Was it basically just baptism by fire? Just kind of learn as you go?
Totally, completely. Yeah. I just started writing and I started pitching it to different people, and they said, yeah, here's some money, and yeah, here's some more money, and let's do this thing. And so we just started making it, and my mom took over the role of main screenwriter. And because when I write, I get all excited and I make this big tangled up mess, and she has to unravel it and straighten it out and make it into, because I just start writing, I see everything happening and I try and keep up with it, and sometimes it doesn't entirely make sense, so she has to straighten everything out. And it was her idea to get Tim Curry. We were watching Legend.
Yeah.
And Darkness laughed. Yeah. And she heard that and said, that's it. She said, let's get Tim Curry. And I said, no way. We'll never get him. He's too big. And she said, let's try it. And so we went on there and we called him, and you know, he's a god. So it's like going up to Mount Olympus and saying, hi, can you come down from there and say hello?
Wow, so that's cool.
So he loved the part. So he said yes, and we went with that. So it was a great, she's a genius, you know, total genius. And she helps me animate. She draws a set amount of characters, and I draw a set amount of characters, and they interact with each other. And because we're mother-daughter, our styles are so similar and at the same time so different, but they work really good together. Yeah. So I draw Dagon, and I draw Candilla, and I draw Necrofer, and I draw all of the gangsters that are running around in circles fighting everybody, and all of the background characters. My mom, she draws Jocelyn and Maxine and Fluff and Hungan and the ambassador's wife. And we just kind of put it all together, and it works. It looks awesome. It's kind of got a motion comic feel to it.
Right.
Okay. It's been compared to Sin City. It's got that dark comic book feel to it. It's also got elements of 1920s and 1930s gangster films, because I love those. We sit up all night long watching Humphrey Bogart and Casablanca and Public Enemy and all these different things. And so, you know, we have elements of all the classics just infused in our film. We haven't copied anything, and we don't, everything's original, but we love it so much that it's kind of, you know, ingrained in what we do. Like when you look at our artwork, the shadows and the dark feels and the expressions, you can just tell it's not from this era. You know, it's kind of, it's old school, major old school, but it's so awesome. It's classic. So we're hoping this will become iconic, like Sin City and like Casablanca and all these different things. This has never been done before, to my knowledge. We are completely online. We are virtual. We are a digital studio, except for family. We have artists that live in Germany and Bulgaria and the Philippines. We have people all over the world helping us with this. I have multiple sound guys from different countries. We are a multicultural and very diverse studio. And this is not our only project that we're working on. We have several in the works at the moment, including 2 amazing books, one of which is turning into an audiobook that was written by Vivian Sellers. And it's going to be a whimsical, Narnia-esque, you know, children's book. We're just kind of very diverse. We have different sides to ourselves. Dagon is pretty much my dark side. Okay. Nice. And mother's dark side. So that's where we channel all of our seriousness and all of our edgy, awesome, dark noir elements of ourselves. And then we have childish, fun, whimsical sides, and that's where everything else comes from.
in the other project, right? So that's
one of the other projects is an anime, so we're hoping to recast Bryce Papenbrook for the main character of that one. That's one Cher Sellers is working on, called Mago Mango, which is going to be really cool. Yeah, it's a whimsical little anime series, I think, is what she's doing with it. So that'll be fun to come out. It'll probably be coming out in 2023 or 2024. We have a very far-reaching idea of where Scoffer Studios is going to go, so we're looking forward to the future.
That's cool. And you know, so you've got that anime series, and you've got this feature film, but yeah, are you also, is this, producing, books as well? Is that what this is?
Those two are comic books. Anthropolis and Ice World are still in production because they kind of took a back burner when Dagon took off.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're all focused on Dagon at the moment, but Anthropolis and Ice World are still comics that are work in progresses, and we're hoping to get them distributed in major comic book companies because we create it and we just throw it out into the void and hope it sticks because, man, it's a lot of work. And we have so many projects that we want to work on and want to finish that takes up all our time. So we're hoping to get picked up by some really hard hitters in the comic book world for that because we just don't have the time to worry about distributing it right now. We're just so focused on making Dagon and writing our 2 books and working on her animated anime series. We're just having a blast. This is living the dream.
Cool. That's fantastic. The you mentioned that that your mom helps you out quite a bit with the screenwriting. She can complement what you're trying to do and everything like that. And it sounds like you guys work pretty well in tandem with the animation. Your sister, she also works pretty closely with you in that respects too.
Yes, she is a master at animation. She's totally awesome. She's doing the entire Mago Mango sketch animation, the early drafts. She's doing all of those herself. She's also painting most of the backgrounds just because she is a perfectionist and she's not happy with what anyone else gives her, so she wants to handle that herself. And when I need a seriously awesome fight scene or a really complex scene that involves several different frames, and I just don't have the wherewithal to manage that, I get overwhelmed. So I have her handle most of my high-speed animation because she's totally awesome.
Cool.
And she's our go-to animator when we say, how do we make this
nice
look like this? She's like, here's it's simple, you just do this. So she's also good for strokes of genius that are just right there, but we just didn't see it.
That's man, that's pretty cool. With can I ask what program are you guys using for animation? Because there's so many.
Well,
right?
There's lots, but I'm sticking with the one that I first found because we don't do digital and we don't rig anything. So ours is 2D animation. It's old school. We just need something that can copy and paste and stick stuff together and slide things across the screen because we do all the hard legwork ourselves on paper with pencil and ink. Wow. So we're using our Tunics, which is a really simple software, and I'm only using it because it's like the easiest one to use, and I don't have time to fight with all the others and all their complexity when I don't need it. So, I'm just using a simple little Artunix to work with. It doesn't really have many awesome features to it, but I don't need them. So we're doing good.
Wow. Since you guys are essentially using, pen and ink, I mean, it's practically traditional cell animation. I mean,
that's right? Exactly it.
Wow.
Yeah. We just draw it down on paper and ink it in and color it in with black paint and then take a picture of it and upload it and start animating.
Oh my gosh.
And our house is so full of pictures that it's just awful. We have no space for anything. That's why we're going to relocate to Florida where we can actually have a studio that's bigger. Has enough room for everything.
Space to kind of expand into, right? Jeez. Wow. That's pretty inspiring, because cell animation, traditional animation, that's that thing that, so many people, think of, of this bygone era, and
it's really sad that people are getting lazy and deciding to use, 3D animation and use computers to generate everything. And while it is a lot of work, it is so much more difficult to do 2D animation, but it ages well. I mean, if you look at, Toy Story, it was a great story and everything, but the 3D animation looks so bad now. And the farther you go with 3D animation where it becomes more and more real, the worse all these older films that were once great look. You know, you can't go back and watch it because you feel like you're watching a video game. And 2D animation doesn't do that. 2D animation is always art, it's always amazing, and it will never become obsolete because there will always be someone out there that says, you know what, I want to do something that's detailed and intricate and it's real. I compare it usually with, you know, if Leonardo da Vinci painted on, you know, a computer, you would not have his real paintings in real life. You know, they exist somewhere. They exist in my bedroom. I have like 5,000 cases and 5,000 paintings in each one. It's just a nightmare. But I have so much fun. There's so much of myself in these pictures. There's so much of what mood I'm feeling or what mood my mother's feeling or how excited we are. You know, ourselves, our soul is in the pictures and in the story because, you know, it's awesome. It's really awesome. I can't really describe it unless you're an artist. You probably wouldn't understand.
Oh, I'm an artist, so I would understand. The
Right.
yeah, the idea too of like doing cell animation, the way you're describing it too, like at any given moment, you know, you might have like either a stroke of genius or stroke of inspiration or something maybe more melancholy too that changes that one frame just a little bit, but still it's etched there forever. It's like, you know, how cool is that?
Yeah, and sometimes the ink or the watercolor will swirl in a way that wasn't meant to be, but it happened and it looks really awesome. And so you just build around that and you turn a mistake into something that's really special. And with the control that you have with a computer, you probably never would get that. You know, there's no happy accidents, there's no magic that just happens across the page. Like one time I was painting and I spilled my water. And the black paint and the ink swirled all together. And that was when I realized that I could paint with the ink that I was using. I sketch it in with an ink pen that's really thick and really gloppy. And then I take water and I run it over that and it turns into this really dark, really edgy, strange looking noir feeling. But I've become a master at happy mistakes.
Good. Yeah. Those are some where some of the most magical and tragic things can occur. Going back to like what you were saying about Toy Story, I kept thinking about like how they animated the humans, you know, in there. And it's like, they're pretty tragic, little archetypes. So
they're kind of scary. They always used to scare me as a kid. I think, oh my god, what were they thinking?
Yeah, they are pretty frightening, especially that I think there's like a little baby or something.
Don't get me started on that baby. That's scary.
It was pretty frightening. So definitely some things don't age, you know, too well, but at the same time too, like, you know, that becomes its own character. It
is what it is. It is what it is, and there's a beauty to it as well. But you know, I don't want my film to become obsolete or to age ungracefully.
Right.
And have someone laugh about it later and say, that baby.
Well, I think it's going to be a pretty cool experience for you to be able to send out your art into the world, you know, as this film will be, as Dagon will be, and be able to connect with your fan base over the love of the story and share of the art, and as well as, you know, the process and how you made it too. I think I can't wait for you to experience that. I think that's going to be a wonderful sensation.
I can't wait either. I've already gotten a few tastes of it when we were over in Phoenix Fan Fusion back in 2019 before COVID. Right. And we were having fun, and Elijah Wood was there, and I showed him some of my stuff. And we hugged and had fun, hung out, and he was saying how cool it looked. And his handlers came over there and said, you can't hand him anything. And he took all the papers and stuff that I gave him and sat on it so they couldn't grab it. So that was flattering.
That's cool. I've heard a lot
And
of great things about Elijah Wood, so that's good.
yeah, he said he'd be interested in joining our cast, and so we're still in contact and we're still discussing what character he could be. And it might work out, might not, but you never know. His schedule's so busy. And we're also looking at a couple other huge guys like Dwayne the Rock Johnson for one character. We have enough room in our film for one or two more major stars, and we're aiming high.
Nice. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's got to be, feel really good to have that feeling reciprocated by people that you really respect, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a negative experience with a star that we showed our work to, even when they said they're too busy or they can't accept it. Uh, they're still saying how cool it looks and how they wish they could, so that's very flattering. And we're just hoping for the best for Dagon, and we're really excited about it.
Good, good. Now, yeah, with this kind of a fantasy horror gangster world that you've created, as a kid, I'm curious, what did you grow up, watching and kind of really appreciating that might have influenced how you look at the world?
Most of what I am is due to my mom and her eccentric, strange tastes. I grew up listening to foreign music and Putumayo, and so when other kids were singing their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, I was singing in African. So, I was
Wow,
having
that's
fun.
cool.
And she was always introducing us to new and strange ways of painting because she was an art teacher in St. Louis.
Nice.
And she has a taste for old 1920s gangster films, and I went even farther back to the silent films. I'm like, look at this cool moon that George Méliès created. Isn't this awesome? And so we get into our little streams. One time I was hooked on Charlie Chaplin for like 3 months and couldn't get off of him. I even
Cool.
did my eye makeup like him. I have I think my personal favorite gangster from the 1930s and 20s would probably be James Cagney.
Okay.
And also, just Charlie Chaplin as a film producer and director was absolutely amazing. He was incredible. He was a genius and he was a pioneer, and that's kind of like my role model in life.
Nice.
Because he was just so cool. He did what nobody else had really considered doing. He was one of the firsts, and I have great respect for firsts. And we're kind of first because we're an all-female run studio pretty much, and there's, as to my knowledge, none out there like this. So we're
Well,
having a blast.
yeah, and I mean your mother, daughters group. I mean, obviously dad's involved too, but and when you pointed out too that so much of what you're influenced by is by old gangster films. It's like, yeah, I could see that in the black and the white. It's very atmospheric, kind of that noir type feel to it, as
Yeah,
well.
I love the tone and the shadows. I love thinking what's back there because there's always something hidden, and I adore the way that Humphrey Bogart, he's always emerging from the shadows and his fedora hat's dripping down over his face and his
Yeah.
eyes are in shadow. I just love the shadows. It's just the lighting's amazing, and that's kind of what I've tried to adopt in Dagon is make everything as dark and moody and gangstery as I can possibly make it. It's just so much fun.
Man, that's cool. What do you think is like the biggest lesson you've learned taking on a feature film project like this?
Don't focus at the entire thing. Focus on the little bits that you can actually manage that are in front of you, because if you
Mhm.
look at the enormous task and the mountain that you're trying to climb and you think, holy crap, I can't possibly do this. If you think that, then you'll freeze up and you'll never get anywhere. You
Yeah.
need to just sit there and look at what's in front of you and think, I can tweak this sentence in the script, or I can fix this guy's nose, or I can change this scene so it's smoother, or I can find this one song for this one piece of film that probably nobody will even notice, but I need it there. Just focus on little bits and eventually it'll all come together and be perfect. And
Wow.
even if it's not, you can go back and fix it.
Yeah, that's awesome advice, you know, to break things down into smaller pieces, more manageable things.
Yeah, it's taught me a lot about what we're all capable of, and it's given us a focal point for all of our genius, is what I call it, because we were so scattered around. We were like working on our own little things here and there, and my sister was drawing crazy monsters and stuff, but she didn't have anywhere to put any of them. She's like, "Oh, this is a cool monster, and he does this," but I'll go on to the next one now. Now we're all focused and we're all driving towards one goal, which is to push all of our projects out there into the world and make them enormous and huge and awesome. So
Right.
it's fun. It's fun stretching your artistic muscles and seeing where all you can go. And it's so much fun talking to movie stars.
That is a pretty cool side effect, right?
Oh yeah, we've talked to basically everyone in Hollywood. I can't even. I'm in school all the time. They're like, "So who did you talk to this week?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, I talked to that movie, this guy." So anyway, it's so much fun. And as soon as COVID is done being an asshole, we're gonna go all over the place to different Comic Cons and stuff.
Good.
Now it's
Good.
kind of we're stuck at home working, which we were doing anyway. But before we could go to Comic Cons and have fun and go meet people, but now we're stuck.
Yeah. So, like during the pandemic, as far as like and granted, it sounded like beforehand you were still predominantly, working at home. Aside from you being a law student too, right?
Yeah. And my sister is going to take zoology. They're kind of like fallbacks in case all of this is just one big dream. But I'm like 99% sure that I'm not even going to need anything. I'll probably become an entertainment lawyer so that I can just manage all of our legal issues, whatever they may
That's
be.
not a bad thing. That sounds like good planning. For the especially for the long haul. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing not only to fall back to, but also to have in your Rolodex of go-to tools and be able
Yeah,
to.
and also make networking easier because
Right.
you have to talk to their entertainment lawyer, and then if you're an
Right.
entertainment lawyer, you don't need to have like an in-between guy.
Right.
So it'll be great.
Yeah, most definitely. No, that's pretty cool. But during COVID, were you able to, without all those extra distractions, I suppose, were you able to really hyper focus on Dagon?
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. COVID's actually the reason that we were stuck at home watching Legend, and we decided to get Tim Curry. So
Nice.
and the best strokes of genius happen when you are bored.
Right, right. Most definitely.
We'll all be sitting around saying, "I'm bored," and we'll be like, "We'll get back to work." And so we all just bully ourselves into doing stuff instead of laying around watching Netflix.
Well, it's a
So
great outlet to have. It's like, hey, let's just make a movie.
we've expanded everything, and we've worked out a few kinks in the animation, and we've gone back and rehired people and fired people. So we're just kind of cleaning everything up and making things even more complicated for ourselves, but it's going to look awesome.
Well, good, good. Well, we've got a few more people that chimed in. Laura says thanks for the shout out, and then Rachie has seen Public Enemy and Casablanca.
Yeah, they are classics and they are awesome.
Yeah. So it sounds like for you and your mom, gangster films are your go-to for the most part, right?
Yeah, when we stress out and we get overwhelmed by the big picture, we kind of just chill out, have a glass of wine, and
Yeah.
watch old gangster movies, and that's just kind of our go-to therapy.
That's great. It could be a lot worse, right?
Yeah, but yeah, we're pretty much a really upbeat studio. We just focus on what's in front of us. Like I'll sit there and say, I need all of these pictures sketched in and painted by tonight. And so my sister and my mom will be like, on it. And so they jump into that, and I'll sketch tons of different pictures and I'll throw it at them and they fix it all up. And then we outsource some to different countries and say, finish this. And they send it back, and it's just a big mess. But we straighten it all out and it turns into a great film. So
Okay,
we're really
cool.
excited about it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Uh, And then Trina says, "Hey y'all, sorry I'm late." So that
Better late than never.
yeah. It's great to have so many people coming in and being able to support what you do. Yeah. Can I ask? Is there any other family members involved, or is it the four of you?
It's just the four of us, and then we have kind of like an adopted family uncle.
Okay.
He's an attorney. He handles all of our legal stuff. And
Nice.
so we have him, and then we have a couple of friends, but it's pretty much family-wise, just me and my sister and my mother and my father. So we just work on things, and we focus on the little details.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we're going to be working on another 10 minutes of animation, getting sound to it, because I just finished it and it's ready to go. I'm currently looking for a new sound guy who's also a video editor, so let me know if you guys hear of anything. So I'm always looking for somebody to add to our crew.
Cool. So anybody listening out there, if you go to their Facebook page, that's scrolling at the bottom there, you can connect with Britt here and see if you got the chops to make it an animation. I mean, it's such an exciting field too, especially with like animation in because of and in spite of the COVID. So many projects are either being adapted to or being developed for animation. Do you feel that you're kind of right there in the middle of it?
Yeah, we're in a sweet spot.
Nice.
Even the films that are getting finished, they seem so generic. They seem so boring. There's no power or drive behind any of them. They're just kind of grinding them out on a conveyor belt, saying, "Let's see, what can we reshuffle?" I haven't seen Raya and the Last Dragon yet, but it looks like Moana mixed with a dragon. So and none of them are inspiring me to go and watch them, really. And I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but none of them really catch my attention. The last one that was really interesting that I can think of would probably be the Dark Crystal series was fun.
Yeah.
But they didn't take it far enough, and they kind of made it stupid at the end. I kind of lost interest.
Okay.
They just kind of fizzled out. And they did the whole, drain her essence stuff just too much. Yeah. There was just a magic to films back in like even the 80s and the 90s. Yeah. There was just a magic to them that they really were trying. There was a lot of pioneers that were really trying. Jim Henson, when he came out with Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, I just thought they were absolutely amazing. My mom's a massive fan of both of those films, and so we watched them as kids growing up. And so I compare everything to those films fantasy-wise. And Lord of the Rings, I have to admit, was a gem, but then they botched The Hobbit. So, it's a hit and miss, but lately I haven't seen anything that is really just grabbed me and said, this is another legendary film that people will follow and be in love with. I'm probably making a lot of people angry by criticizing some of these films, but they're just not, they just don't grab me.
Okay.
They're going to probably be legendary. I'm hoping Dagon will, because I think it's something special. I think Dagon's special, and I'm hoping that it will outlast me.
As far as like animated films, like you name Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, but those are live action puppet films.
Yeah.
What like not obviously your style is not, I guess what would be considered as like Disney mainstream, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, there's not many films out there like ours. The closest you can get to something that ours would be probably Death Note. Okay. You'd have to go in the anime spectrum to be able to liken our film to anything. America doesn't really have anything that can be compared to ours. I mean, I can't compare it to Bambi.
I don't know. Do you shoot somebody's mom in there in Dagon? Probably.
Actually, no. We kind of refrain from killing women because we're all girls. So
Good.
Most of the badasses are women, and most of the schmucks that get killed are men. It's just
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, that's fun.
But some of the films that could be compared to ours or the series would be anime. Hayao Miyazaki, Spirited
Right.
Away, Nausicaa could be likened to it a little bit, but
Okay.
it'd probably be Death Note or Attack on Titan,
Oh,
minus the giant naked people.
yeah. Yeah.
Or I guess you could put the emotional element of Demon Slayer, but it's not exactly scary. So
Okay.
I'd say Death Note. Ours is smart, and
Yeah.
ours is sexy, and ours is slick, and it has some of the humor of Ryuk. You know, it's got some of that Shinigami humor, a bit of Death Note. Yeah, Death Note would probably be the closest you could get to our film.
Okay. So it sounds like you've got a lot of likes and inspirations from anime and any manga.
I don't read manga quite as much. I am reading Awari no Seraph, which is a vampire anime, and I'm also reading some of the Attack on Titan manga.
Okay.
And I do have some Nausicaa comics, but I'm so busy I don't have time to read them really.
Right.
So they're just kind of there, festering away in my drawer in antique Shrinerism, whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
We're just having fun, and there's so many different places my inspiration comes from. It's just this one story I'm writing right now called no, I can't say the name of it right now.
Okay.
It's not copyright yet.
Don't
Sorry,
get
not
yourself in
saying the
trouble.
name yet. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. But anyway, I dreamed the whole thing. I was
Okay.
in the midst of this super realistic dream. Sometimes I do that, it's very rare. But I wrote it down when I woke up, and it was just as awesome when I had my senses about me and had actually gotten awake. And because I had seen everything, it made everything seem so real. It's a fantasy that I can say would probably be likened to Wizard of Earthsea. It's a really strange and different, and it's got lots of moral issues in it. And it was so weird because I had seen and felt and heard the entire story happen in my dream, and I've never had that happen before or since. But I'm working on that right now when I'm too tired to work on Dagon.
Wow, that's cool.
But
It's good to have those smaller side projects too, so you can also feel that
diversify.
right, and
Yeah.
feel that sense of accomplishment in smaller patches while you're working on this much bigger mountain, right?
Yeah. Writing is so easy and animation is so hard that sometimes I just collapse and think I can't do it. I have all these pictures I have to draw, but I'll just have to wait and work on those tomorrow. For now I'll just write.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
Right. What is your do you think is the biggest misconception with animation? You know, what people think animation is.
I think that in America, its full potential has not been realized. I think they get so caught up with it being a children's media that they don't realize that it can have more far-reaching potential, as in being an actual film that's serious and it deals with harsh issues like death and life and politics, and you
Right.
know, you can do things with animation you could not feasibly do with a live action film. You know, it just costs too much. Um, Especially if you possess the artistic abilities to realize it on a smaller budget. You know, since most of the work is done by myself and my mother and my sister, it gives us more leeway to focus our funds on other things like the sound effects and the voice actors and other things. And live action is awesome if you have the right people, because a good script can be ruined by a bad actor, you know? And
Sure.
just because they're popular, the directors will sell out and say, I want this really popular star in here, and then they totally bomb. And then the whole movie's ruined. But you don't have that with animation. As long as your artwork is beautiful and the voice actors are impassioned and they're really focused and driven, you can make a character feel any way you want and make him look any way that you want. you can have one guy play 60 different characters, and if he's a diverse enough actor, he can pull it off. I have my go-to guy, Chad Lawson. He is totally epic. He's
Cool.
not a star yet, but he's gonna get there.
Nice.
He's so good. He plays all my gangster voices because I have several, and it's just so exhausting to recast for these characters, and they only have like 2 or 3 lines each. So I have him arguing with himself in this one scene, and he plays all the characters in that scene, and you can't tell it's the same guy, and he is so awesome. So shout out to Chad Lawson.
Excellent. Oh, that's awesome. Britt, it's been fantastic, having you on the show and, talking to you and learning more about, what you and your family do. It's I find it very inspiring.
Thank you. It was nice to be on here.
Yeah, thanks. And for everybody out there, when we sign off, make sure to go to Facebook Studio, Scoffer, Gov Scoffer.
Just go to Scoffer Studios on Facebook. Just Google that, or Google Dagon Troll World Chronicles. You'll find us on YouTube. You'll find us on IMDb. You'll find our website on our Facebook page. Just like and follow and stay connected, and we'll post all of our updates on there. Who knows? You might see a thing saying that Elijah Wood and Dwayne The Rock Johnson are going to be in our cast. Who knows?
Excellent.
Fingers crossed.
That would be cool. Yeah. So we'll wait to hear for that announcement, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're hopeful.
That's so cool. Britt, stick around for a few minutes while we sign off. And to everybody that tuned in, thanks so much for tuning in and listening to Britt and talk about Dagon. And God, we can't wait to see that project come to fruition. That's going to be freaking epic.
Yeah, it is. Can't wait.
Excellent. So to everybody out there, thanks again. To Hellfire Entertainment, thanks for broadcasting us on your social media. Mutiny Information Cafe, if you're going to start a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. To Alien Donut Films, Bill and Angela, thanks so much for putting up with my shenanigans. And of course, to my producers, Stefan Santa Cruz and Amanda Armstrong, thanks so much, guys. To everybody else out there, thanks again. And of course, take care of each other, be well, and look out for each other during these tough times. Have a good night. Take care.